A witness could come up and say things that he knows are untrue, and he can't say anything back.
Up until just seconds before the defense rested in Donald Trump's first criminal trial, Donald Trump's former lawyer, Alina Habba, was still on TV, still saying Trump wants to testify. He's willing to testify. He would tell the truth if he testified. He would rebut all of the lies being told about him if he testified. And then seconds later, the defense resting without Donald Trump testifying. You all knew Trump wasn't going to testify. I knew it. I've been telling you for weeks. Alina Habba and others continued to insist since the beginning, oh, Trump will testify. He's going to do it. He said he would testify. He said he would testify in the E. Jean Carroll civil trial. He never testifies. He never testifies because it would be a self-inflicted disaster if he were to do so. But here is Alina Habba just humiliating herself. How she has any credibility, obviously she doesn't with us, but how she has any credibility even with the MAGA right. This was moments before Trump's lawyers said, Your Honor, the defense rests without Trump testifying, insisting any second now, before you know it, Trump's going to be up there telling his side of the story. No, he's not, Alina.
As far as where this all goes next, what would be in the thought process to testify or not testify on the part of the former president?
Now, before we hear from Alina, I could answer that. Well, on the one hand, he could testify to stick to his word because he and I and everyone else around him have been lying and saying he's going to testify for weeks. On the other hand, he would be completely unable to control his lying and would almost certainly perjure himself endlessly if he testified. And that would be a reason maybe for him not to do it.
Well, he's got to listen to his attorneys. It's not as much what he wants to do. We know he wants to testify. He is willing. He is able. He is nothing to hide at all. He's absolutely ready to tell the truth. Frankly, I think the truth is already spoken. He was in the White House while somebody in accounting booked a legal fee payment as a legal expense. It's pretty quick, and it would be a pretty short testimony as far as the questions that would need to be asked because he had no part in this. The reality of the situation is that we have this judge, we have this court, and we have a DA who has been politically motivated since the minute he decided to run for office. Remember, this was not brought twice, not by Cy Vance and not by Bragg. The only time he decided to bring this case was after President Trump announced that he would be running for re-election.
Now, understand that Alina Habba is not telling you the truth there. She says, well, he has to listen to his lawyers. He wants to testify, but he's got to listen to his lawyers. Wrong. Wrong. When has Trump ever listened to his lawyers if he doesn't want to? And number two, why is it that Trump wouldn't testify if that would solve so many problems for him? Clients can say to their lawyers, I understand that you're suggesting I not testify, but I want to. In fact, this is such a critical piece of one's right to testify in their own defense if they want to, that in many trials, for example, I think this happened in, which trial was it? I don't remember. In many trials, there comes a point where the judge will say to the defendant, please stand up, and they will say, do you understand that you have a right to testify if you want to? And they want to hear the defendant say, yes, Your Honor, I do understand that. Has your lawyer spoken to you about you testifying? Yes, Your Honor, I've had a conversation with my lawyer about that. Do you feel that you understand the pros and cons of testifying in your own defense? And the judge wants to hear the defendant say, yes, I do understand that. Given all of this, is it still your choice not to testify? Yes, Your Honor, it is my choice. This is such a critical thing. It is not. He has to listen to his lawyers. Trump never listens to anyone, and it is a paramount right to be allowed to testify in your defense. The reason is, at his core, Trump must suspect it's a very bad idea to testify. And he has been convinced, and I don't say convinced in the coerced, but he has come to believe or share his attorney's opinions that it would be a very bad idea for him to testify, primarily because they don't have an alternative explanation for the facts. And to contradict or attempt to impeach Michael Cohen's testimony, Trump would have to lie. He would have to commit perjury in order to do that. Okay, a couple other clips from this wacky interview with Alina Habba. She says one of Trump's biggest frustrations is anyone can say whatever they want about Trump, but he can't say anything about them. Again, ignoring the fact that he can testify if he wants to.
I think the biggest frustration for the president right now is the unconstitutional gag order. He still feels frustrated by that. I know he speaks to the press, obviously, in the morning and at the end of the day. But even when he's speaking, he's limited as to what he can speak to. And that's incredibly frustrating for him. A witness could come up and say things that he knows are untrue, and he can't say anything back.
He can't trash them in the media. He can't trash them on social media. But Trump can say something back. Trump can be put under oath, just like the witnesses, and he can tell his version of events. The idea that Trump's being silenced because a witness says something under oath under potential penalty of perjury, and Trump isn't allowed to go on Truth Social and say whatever he wants, that is not equivalent. Trump has a mechanism to contradict what the witnesses are saying under oath, which is to get himself under oath and tell his version of events. Now, one other funny moment. Here's a sort of they came up to me with tears in their eyes story from Alina Habba. Alina Habba says people come up to her on the street and say, what is Trump even being charged for?
Based on that metric, how does this trial measure up?
0. I think that's the problem. It's, we can speak as right-wing media. I can speak as his spokesperson all I want. But I think this has done more good for the American people to understand just how bad it really is. When you see that nobody can say what the crime is. When I walk down the street, most people ask me, Alina, can you just explain to me what he did?
They stop me and they say, ma'am, explain to me. What are they doing to Trump? What is the charge?
And what they're actually charging him for. The truth is, I can't, because it's misdemeanor based on something that is frankly civil, not criminal, and they're elevating it to federal.
All right. And then, of course, they continue to tell that lie, which is these are misdemeanors. They're charging them as felonies, even though this is something done thousands of times in the very jurisdiction in which Trump is being tried. So Alina Habba doing the best she can, Trump seemingly doing the worst he can as the trial starts to conclude. Let's get to that next. It is time to start thinking like voters and to make sure that kids understand the importance of voting, how it works, registering, ballot initiatives, because so many kids just have no idea. That's why I wrote the new children's book, Think Like a Voter. I can think of no better time and no more important group of folks to try to reach. The book is now available at davidpakman.com/book, where, by the way, you can get the first 2 books in the series as well. Think Like a Detective and Think Like a Scientist. Really important stuff. Donate them to local libraries, classrooms, read them with the kids. davidpakman.com/book.